Hey everybody, thanks for joining us in our For America cooking classes. We'll be wrapping things up today with our desserts, and it is a post-war realism that we're looking at. It's inspired by photorealism, where looks can actually be deceiving. It's going to look really good, you're not going to be sure what it is. That's what we're going for today. So we're going to be making our citrus angel hair pasta with forest berry marinara sauce and truffle meatballs. That's right. So at the end of this, you're gonna have an amazing dessert. The first thing we're gonna do is we'll just talk about everything right now. I've got some orange juice here. We're gonna actually cook that angel hair pasta in orange juice. That's right. So we've got probably 64 ounces. This says 52. We did a jug and a half. So 64 ounces is gonna do about a half a pound. It takes a little bit more water, or more than you would use for water, and you want to use about a half a pound for 4 people. So we're going to go ahead and get that going. This is warmed up and ready to go, so you want to make sure that the orange juice is boiling really good before you put that in there. So we've got this going, and I like to just, let it naturally work its way in. And we got to keep an eye on this. It's one thing to boil over some water on the stove, but boiling over orange juice will definitely be something you'll be cussing about later when you're trying to clean it up. So think ahead, use a big enough pot that it won't boil over onto your stove. That's just one disclaimer we want to have for sure, because I don't want to have to come over to your house and clean up your mess. All right, so right now, while this is getting ready to go down in the pot, I want to talk a little bit about what else we're going to use. So what we're going to end up with is this amazing dish that looks like spaghetti and meatballs. That's right, spaghetti and meatballs. But we're using this as a dessert. So we're going to use truffles. Now, we're not going to actually make truffles today with ganache and everything that you normally would do, the chocolate and the cream. But you can pick some up at the store. You might have some stashed in the cupboard somewhere already. And then we're also going to go through, and I'm going to show you a little secret. So there's such a thing called mock truffles. I'm sure you've seen it all over the internet. Whenever you just want to do something fun and something pretty and not work too hard at it, like I said, with that ganache and all the boiling down the cream and everything. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take this right here. This is just a brownie. You could use chocolate cake. You could actually use any cake, and you could roll it in cocoa powder, which we're going to do that at the end here. So I just want to make sure that this pasta gets all the way underneath the water, the orange juice. All right, so there's the orange juice. It's cooking in there. You do want to stir it pretty regularly because it's got a lot of sugar in there, and that pasta starch and the sugar is going to come together, and it'll want to clump up. So kind of constantly stirring. Not constantly. Don't walk away from it. Don't go find something else to do. You'll definitely want to keep your eyes on this pasta. All right, so I'm going to let that go for just a few minutes. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brownie, and you can do it with or without the frosting on top. Oh, here we go. All right. That's what I said about the boiling over. My pot is definitely too small for how much I'm cooking. Unfortunately, this is the biggest one I have that works on this stove. So we'll turn that down just a little bit. And that shouldn't take more than a few minutes to come to a boil. And then once it does boil, it's going to be about 10 minutes of cook time, somewhere between 6.5 and 10 minutes. So what I've done is I just break my brownie into little pieces. No boiling over. Okay, we got this. So I'm going to leave this in here, and that will actually help it keep from boiling over. You can do that yourself. It helps dissipate some of the heat, and then you won't have such a boil over issue. Okay, so now I'm taking my brownie and I'm rolling it. I'm gonna roll it just like a meatball. And now I've got a mock truffle. If you squeeze it hard enough, it turns into a diamond. No, I don't think so. It definitely turns into a truffle though. So then I have what looks like an amazing truffle, and then I can take a little bit of cocoa powder and just roll it in there. And what do you know? I have a truffle. Okay, so I'm going to keep that on the side. Take a couple of those. And then I'm going to show you just exactly how we make our marinara sauce. It's not as difficult as you might think because marinara usually takes hours and hours and hours. This is going to take about 35 seconds if I'm really slow. So right now I've got this pasta going. And you know what? This really is a fun thing to do. I haven't played around with other things, but I suppose you could use lemonade or you could use other fun things. You could probably use cranberry juice and it would turn like a pink color. But this keeps it looking like pasta, but it doesn't taste like spaghetti when you're done. It tastes like dessert. All right, so now I've got a pretty good boil going on here and all my noodles are coming apart, which that's what I'm looking for. I want to make sure they're not sticking together. And we've got our mock truffles ready to go. And you can see the longest thing is boiling the noodles. And really, it's going to take 10 to 15 minutes to do that. So while we're doing that, we're going to take just a little bit of Smucker's red raspberry jam. This is a Hy-Vee red raspberry flavor, and we're going to put it together. Now, the reason why I use both is one has seeds, one doesn't. They have just a little bit more consistency. And you can also use strawberry. Wouldn't be a problem at all to use strawberry. So I'm going to take these, and basically you want a spoonful of each for each dessert. So it's not going to be hard to figure out what to do with these leftovers, right? Okay. So when you have leftover jam, it goes on everything. All right, here we go. We've got our really complex marinara sauce. You see as it stirs together, it now becomes nice and smooth and glossy and shiny. And I like the seeds in there because it gives it a little bit of body and it makes it look a little bit more like marinara sauce. Okay, so we're almost ready to go with that. Our pasta is almost ready to go. Now, obviously, our pasta, we're not going to serve this dish hot, but I wanted to show you. So with the truffles for this dish, it's a little large for our purposes, but you could certainly use the whole thing. I'm just going to take this one and cut it in half, and then we'll use that as one of our dishes. Okay? I've also got another little secret. If you don't want to go down the chocolate road, we can use some black raspberries. So we have several options what you can use for our meatballs, and we will be moving that over to the plates in just a second. As you see, now normally you would strain out your pasta, right? You'd put it through a strainer. What we're gonna do, the pasta puts out the pasta's starch and actually makes that orange juice into a bit of a sauce, into a glaze. So it's actually part of the dessert. So rather than strain that off and lose all of that sauce, we're gonna go ahead and just take it, bring it right out of the pot into the serving plates if you like. And see, I found these bowls that look like little pasta bowls. I just think it's amazing. So, and you know, I like to do the little spin, so it really has that really authentic look to it. Now this is hot, and so what you will do is you do this ahead and you put this right in the refrigerator. You can also do them and put them on a tray and put them in the refrigerator so that they can cool. You don't have to have them refrigerated, but it will change the consistency of the sauce, and I'll just show you that one. But what we're gonna do is I'll show you a couple different variations on this, and look at that. It just picks up, you move it around. So we're gonna make our marinara sauce ladled right over the top of our spaghetti, just like the song says, on top of spaghetti. But we don't want to lose these meatballs because they'll get everywhere, and nobody wants to lose chocolate. All right, so there's my sauce, and spread it out so it looks good. And then on this one, I'm gonna put our mock truffles that we made out of the brownie. On this one, I'm gonna put the truffle that I bought at the store. And then I can also show you what it would look like if you used a black raspberry instead of the chocolate. But I can't imagine why anybody would not want to have chocolate. And then we're gonna take this mint. I don't know if you guys have seen these things. Mint at the grocery store, growing in a pot. You can't beat it. So we're just going to garnish that with that little basil. And what we ended up with is a plate of spaghetti and meatballs that you can have for dessert. So I hope everybody had a great time with this. It's been so much fun, and we'll see you next time around.